In the silent, shadowed halls of our home, the laughter of a woman not my own echoed, intertwining with the deep, familiar timbre of Michael's voice. My heart thudded painfully in my chest as I stood, frozen, just steps from the bedroom door. My arms instinctively cradled our newborn daughter, a tiny being oblivious to the storm about to break. Michael, you're choosing to spend time with me. Clearly, I'm far more exciting than Amelia. Plus, I don't do babies. They're just noisy and needy. The woman's voice dripped with contempt. My name, uttered so carelessly, jolted me from my daze. The audacity of this woman, mocking not just me but my child too, ignited a fire in my veins. I pushed the door open, revealing the sordid scene, my husband, Michael, and his mistress, entwined on what used to be our shared bed. The room spun as Michael's eyes met mine, his expression morphing from shock to a cold, calculated calm. Amelia, why are you back already? Weren't you supposed to be discharged tomorrow? I felt a bitter laugh escape my lips. I messaged you, Michael. Or were you too preoccupied to notice? My gaze fell on the woman beside him, her smug smile faltering under my stare. Michael stood, adjusting his shirt. Look, there's no easy way to say this. I want a divorce. I've already filled out my part of the papers. He gestured nonchalantly to a stack of documents on the dresser. A profound silence filled the room, punctuated only by the soft cooing of my daughter in my arms. The walls of the room that once held laughter and love now bore witness to my life's cruel unraveling. I mustered all the strength left in my postpartum body and stood tall. Is this what you really want, Michael? A life without your daughter and me? His gaze was unwavering, cold. Yes, it's for the best. Those words were the final blow, shattering the last vestiges of the life I thought we had. With tears streaming down my face, yet with a heart strangely solidified by resolve, I whispered, "Then this is goodbye, Michael. Forever." I turned away from the ruins of my marriage, my mind racing with plans and possibilities. I had lost the man I loved, but in his place, I found a fierce determination to protect my daughter and reclaim my life. As I stepped out into the cool night air, cradling my daughter close, a new path lay before us. One of resilience, independence, and, above all, a resolve for retribution. The soft glow of the morning sun did little to warm the chill that had settled in my heart. Sitting at the kitchen table in my parents' home, I cradled a steaming cup of coffee, lost in thought. My daughter, nestled in a bassinet beside me, was the only source of light in my newly darkened world. My mother, a pillar of strength with gentle eyes, joined me. "You don't have to go through this alone, Amelia. We're here for you every step of the way." I nodded, my voice barely a whisper. "I know, Mom. It's just, how could he? How could Michael do this to us?" The betrayal stung anew with each passing moment. Michael, whom I had loved unconditionally, had discarded our family like a piece of unwanted furniture. The pain was deep, but beneath it, a fierce determination was taking root. My father, a stern yet caring man, spoke up. "We'll support you, Amelia. Whatever you need, we're here for you." Their unwavering support bolstered my resolve. I had to be strong, not just for my daughter, but for myself too. Michael had taken enough from me. I wouldn't let him take my spirit too. As days turned into weeks, I found a rhythm in my new life. My daughter's gurgles and smiles were my daily respite from the storm that raged within me. I threw myself into work, my career at the multinational firm offering a much-needed distraction. But beneath the surface of this newfound routine, a plan was simmering. Michael had wronged us, and I couldn't let that go unchallenged. It wasn't just about revenge, it was about justice. I began to gather information, sifting through our financial records and scrutinizing Michael's recent behavior. The picture that emerged was one of deceit and manipulation. The more I uncovered, the stronger my resolve grew. Michael wasn't just a cheating husband. He was a man who had taken advantage of my trust and love for his gain. I spent my evenings after putting my daughter to bed, meticulously planning my next steps. With every piece of evidence I gathered, the outline of my strategy became clearer. I would confront Michael, but not as the broken-hearted wife he had left behind. I would face him as a woman empowered by the truth and unafraid to demand justice. As I laid out my plans, a sense of empowerment washed over me. I was no longer the naive girl who had fallen in love with Michael. I was a mother, a survivor, and soon I would be the architect of Michael's undoing. The soft hum of my laptop was the only sound in the room as I scrolled through the report from the private investigator. The pages were a damning testament to Michael's deceit. Photographs of him with various women, credit card statements for extravagant gifts and hotel stays. Each piece of evidence was a nail in the coffin of our marriage, a marriage I now realized was built on lies. I heard a soft knock on the door. My mother peeked in, concern etched on her face. "Amelia, you've been in here for hours. Are you all right?" I looked up, forcing a smile. "I'm fine, Mom, just sorting through some things." She entered, sitting beside me. "You know, it's okay to feel angry, to feel hurt. You don't have to hide it, not from me." I sighed, a weight lifting as I shared the burden of my findings. "It's not just the cheating, Mom, it's everything, the lies, the manipulation. He's not the man I thought I married." My mother's hand found mine, her grip firm and reassuring. "You're strong, Amelia, stronger than you know, and you have us. We'll get through this together." With my family's support, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The time for mourning what could have been was over. Now, it was time for action. I contacted Michael, my voice steady as I confronted him over the phone. "We need to talk, Michael, about the divorce, the finances, everything." There was a pause before he answered, his voice oozing false concern. "Amelia, I'm glad you're being reasonable about this. Let's meet and sort everything out." The day of our meeting, I walked into the cafe, every step fueled by a cocktail of determination and righteous anger. Michael sat there, the picture of casual arrogance. "Amelia, let's make this quick, okay? I have a busy day ahead," he said, barely glancing up from his phone. I sat down, my documents neatly stacked in front of me. "Let's start with the finances. I've been reviewing our accounts, and there are some discrepancies I'd like to discuss." Michael's eyes flicked to the papers, then back to me, a flicker of unease crossing his face. "Discrepancies? What are you talking about?" I slid the photographs across the table, his secret life laid bare in glossy prints. "This is just the beginning, Michael. I know about the hotels, the gifts, the trips. I know everything." The color drained from his face as he realized the extent of my knowledge. "Amelia, listen, we can work this out. There's no need to make a scene." I leaned in, my voice low but unwavering. "This is not a negotiation, Michael. This is me taking back control. I will not be brushed or silenced. Not anymore." As I detailed my terms for the divorce, including fair financial settlements and custody arrangements, Michael's mask of confidence crumbled. For the first time, I saw him for what he truly was, a coward hiding behind a facade of charm and deceit. I left the cafe with a sense of triumph. The road ahead would be challenging, but I was no longer the victim in this story. I was the author, and this chapter was just the beginning of Michael's reckoning. The morning sun cast long shadows in the living room of my former home, now a battleground for the final confrontation. Michael stood there, his face a mask of faux composure. Beside him, his mistress, a picture of uneasy defiance. My parents flanked me, their presence a silent testament to their unwavering support. My father's stern gaze bore into Michael, while my mother held my daughter, a protective shield against the toxic atmosphere. "Amelia, why drag this out? Let's just settle this and move on," Michael started, his voice tinged with irritation. I shook my head, my resolve steeling. "No, Michael. You don't get to dictate how this ends, not after everything you've done." He scoffed, a hollow laugh devoid of humor. "What do you want, then? Money? Is that what this is about?" I stepped forward, my voice steady. "This is about respect, something you clearly know nothing about. It's about acknowledging your actions and their consequences." His mistress piped up, her voice shrill. "Michael, let's just give her what she wants and get rid of her." My father's voice boomed across the room. "You will speak to my daughter with respect. She's here to settle matters rightfully." Michael glared at me, his veneer of control slipping. "Fine, Amelia, what do you want?" I laid out my terms, every demand a strike against his ego and his betrayal. "I want full custody of our daughter. You will have supervised visits until I deem otherwise. As for our finances, I've detailed a fair division, considering your extracurricular activities." Michael's face reddened, a vein throbbing in his temple. "You can't do this to me. I won't let you take everything." But before he could continue, the door burst open. In strode my in-laws, their faces a mix of shock and anger. "Michael, what on earth is going on here?" his father bellowed, his disappointment palpable. Michael turned, a deer caught in the headlights. Dad, it's not what it looks like. His mother, tears brimming in her eyes, looked at me. Amelia, we had no idea. We're so sorry. The tables had turned. Michael, once the manipulator, was now cornered by the truth. His parents' arrival was the final blow, stripping away any pretense of innocence. The negotiations were tense, but with the weight of my evidence and the support of my family, Michael had no choice but to agree to my terms. As we left, my father's arm around my shoulders, I felt a sense of closure. The chapter of my life tainted by Michael was ending, and a new chapter, one of hope and strength, was beginning. The soft rustle of leaves and the gentle chirping of birds formed a serene backdrop as I sat on the veranda of my new home overseas. My daughter played at my feet, her innocent laughter a balm to my once weary soul. The rolling hills and sprawling green fields of our new surroundings were a far cry from the stifling confines of my past life. My father, sitting beside me, handed me a cup of tea. You've done well, Amelia. I'm proud of you. I smiled, feeling a sense of peace I hadn't known in a long time. Thanks, Dad. It wasn't easy, but I feel like I can finally breathe again. The journey here had been tumultuous. From the ashes of my marriage with Michael, I had risen, stronger and more determined. The divorce had been finalized, with the terms heavily in my favor, thanks to Michael's indiscretions and my unwavering resolve. But the sweetest victory was watching Michael's facade crumble under the weight of his actions. His mistress had left him once she realized the luxurious lifestyle he provided was no longer sustainable. His colleagues and friends, once drawn to his charismatic persona, now saw him for the fraud he was. I had heard through the grapevine that Michael was living a modest life now, his nights of extravagance a distant memory. The man who once held himself above others was now humbled by his own misdeeds. As I watched my daughter chase butterflies across the lawn, I reflected on the journey that had brought us here. The pain, the betrayal, the fight for justice, it had all led to this moment of tranquility. I'm thinking of starting a blog, I mused aloud. Maybe share my story, help others who might be going through similar struggles. My father nodded. That's a great idea. You have a lot of wisdom to share, Amelia. The sound of a car pulling up the driveway caught our attention. My mother emerged, her arms laden with groceries, her face breaking into a smile as she saw us. Looks like you two are having a deep conversation, she said, joining us on the veranda. Just reflecting on the past and planning for the future, I replied, standing up to help her with the bags. As we unpacked the groceries together, I felt a surge of gratitude for my family. They had been my rock through the storm, and now they were my companions in this new chapter of life. The ordeal with Michael was behind me, but it had taught me invaluable lessons. I had discovered my strength, the importance of family, and the power of resilience. Now, as I looked forward to the future, I was filled with hope. Hope for new beginnings, for growth, and for the endless possibilities that lay ahead for my daughter and me.